Looks like you have the Borg cube behind you.
Well, you have the queen of the Borg right there on your front.
Oh my God. What a coinky dink. Picard.
I was gonna do that. Stop.
Zen in the car for the spiritually minded liberty activist on the go. Liketh, shareth, subscribeth. It's what the cool kids do.
To incarnate, there is typically some type of a break in communication from source that begins in early childhood development through sexual trauma. Is that a good?
Correct. Now, yeah, it's a very good, it's a basis of that, because number one, our mother and our father, they were incarnated with this. And that knowingly or unknowingly, even despite in the union of sacred union or love, that was still in the conceptual, structure from their mothers and their fathers and great grandmothers and onward. So that's there. And then we step into the A, B, C, D's, E's, F, G's, all the way to Z's, to disease, to disharmony, 1, 2, 3s, on and on and on. The infrastructure, how we've been laid out and programmed, removes us from that original instruction, the original thought, removes us from our own mothers, our own fathers, that now have already been birthed into separation. And all we want is union and come back into the oneness. And that's, so there's been a disruption, and religions have been set out for that. The governing bodies have been set out for that. It's like their duties, and unknowingly, those that are in charge of religious orders, except the very high up orders or the governing bodies, or the very high up, are just following orders or following suit or doing apparently their jobs. And so that has been a huge disruption here, and utilizing the sexual energies and lower vibrational energies, some call it chakras or gates or codes, primarily from the mother of creation herself, from this planet, have extracted continuously for hundreds of thousands of years from the mother herself. So the extraction has brought damage to the earth herself, which is a direct reflection of the woman nation, women, direct reflection of the men, of our imbalance and out of balance of the resourcing from woman, from the mother. So there's a whole education of how can we return back to the origin of custodian, the gates of the universe, of the darkness, to be able to reemerge out from the underworlds, to be able to come up. We have been trained through religions, governmental bodies, that it is scary. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to look at the underworld. Nobody wants to look at their shadows. But if you walk in the sun, you're going to see it. If you work with any agencies or anything, you're going to know it's there, but you don't want to speak about it. You don't want to recognize it. You want to look the other way and watch the program, become a couch potato, and just continue on with everybody else. And so it's very, very important right now for us to liberate ourselves individually as a woman and as a man. And there's teachings that come from our elders, that come from all traditions and cultures, and come from the plant medicines themselves, that educate us into these different universities or dimensions of vibrational frequencies, where we can see lower vibrational entities, lower vibrational thought patterns, emotions, and all the abuses. The core root of it, we're going to find that it begins in our sexual orientation.
Yes.
Now, in mine and her research, what we have seen as a consensus is that typically the childhood sexual trauma typically happens under the age of 6, before the sacral bones fuse into one.
Yes.
Is that consistent with what you gleaned in your
Abs-
work?
Absolutely. That I am a product of a liberated man to go through that process. What I speak about, I know my research and development.
Ooh,
Literally
give me chill bumps.
I've literally had this happen. What I'm speaking to you about have that experience of the sexual, physical, emotional abuse done to me at those ages under 6 years old, and implemented that was called love. And that was called interrelationship with mother and father. And that was how I was to experience love in my union with the divinity of creating love with a partner. And it took a lifetime of work through the plant medicines, through the teachers, guardians, and guides that I've had, and the initiations to break through that, and now be able to do the work with individuals so that we can help one another through this process that's been going on for hundreds of thousands of years in different levels and vibrations and frequencies, along with different animal kingdoms, queendoms, stone, mineral, rock, and humanitarian process that we're in right here and now.
Amazing.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Now, on my part, I don't think I've ever spoken about it publicly. I don't have a problem doing it, but I can also attest to you, and this is why my research took it there, is I'm also the product of severe early childhood sexual abuse, and the repercussions of such abuse developed into, well, substance abuse, a lot of
Exactly.
complex post-traumatic stress, a lot of codependent traits, body dysmorphia. I mean, you name it. And, when I came to plant medicine, thanks to our mutual friend, well, I better not call her name out. She might not appreciate that, but we have a mutual friend who initiated me into plant medicine. And that is what, for me, like you said, it put the sunlight on the issue that I had suppressed for most of my adult life, and
Yeah.
began the process of me really facing it and doing the work necessary to, one, be able to talk about it and then heal from it.
Yes.
And when I turned it, around and cleaned all of that out and became vocal with other men, not just vocal, but it's like, dude, it happened to 99% of the dudes I come across. And
Yeah.
where you have the distortion, where people are doing like you're talking about, they'll get plugged into media. So anything that can distract you from doing the work is what we see as rampant. But when you actually get specifically a male to hit rock bottom,
Yes.
to where they have no choice but to go, okay, I've tried everything else. I've tried drinking it away. I've tried distracting it away. None of my relationships work with anybody. No endeavor I want to accomplish is working. And it keeps bringing you back to that issue, which is, what's that secret that never been told that you talk about under the age of 6? The
Correct.
distortion of
Yeah.
how I'm supposed to experience love and intimacy at a
Exactly.
very young age. And what I have found in my circles where I help men to recover is that that's the hardest part, is that 99% of them, it has happened to men and women, but getting
Exactly.
them to the point where they talk about it and they don't feel isolated and that it's
Right.
only them. That's the breakthrough that we try to help people get through. So
Exactly.
Well,
go ahead.
oh, you
Nope,
go
you.
ahead. Oh, well, I just wanted, since there's two guys on here, I also am a product of sexual abuse under the age of under the age of 4. I can remember, but like you said, it distorted um you know what it distorted my version of love. I allowed a lot of abuse because I didn't love myself. I grew up um because I grew up in that environment. Like you said, you you have a distorted view of what love is, and it took me, and Daniel knows, um yeah, it took me a while to heal from all that. I'm still healing from it, but I'm
Yeah.
doing the work.
Yeah. I want to
Yeah.
congratulate you also as a woman to be able to, speak about this and share so that you can better yourself, so you can help other women like yourself, and so we can work together, the women and men, folk, together to heal this so that we can get back into the understanding of sacred union and what we originally came here to do, and what is love, and love in the different, not just through intimacy or sex, but love is a wide range and a higher range of.
All right, we'll just keep on going. You broke up a little bit, Adam, but no worries. Pause it real quick. Is
Yeah.
it all right? And you were talking about the wider range of what
Oh,
love is.
so the wider range, from my perspective, of love is not just it's not just sex.
Right,
It's not what we see through pornography. It's not what we see
right.
through the media, through television, all of our movies. It's the different levels and vibrations of love can expand beyond just the intimate touch and that. And when we reach those frequencies through our practices, or open up our systems, our bodies, then we're actually utilizing them to access different dimensions, realms, planetary systems, and gather the knowledge from what I call the universe, the intimate dark space, what we would call, to illuminate this light back
Right,
out to the world, and receive that knowledge to implement that to help our humanity as
right.
a whole.
It's everywhere. It's even in the music we listen to. Just the
Well,
Exactly.
you're bombarded with the distortion throughout your life too. I mean, even the internet
right.
culture
I mean,
with
yeah, it's
it,
everywhere.
like Adam, we were discussing the toxicity of dating apps last night and how it creates the illusion of infinite choice. It's like, well, with infinite choice, there's no need for commitment, you
Right.
know. But
Yeah.
one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, because we all agree um, that this distortion is happening in this way through the most creative power in the you call it the universe, I call it the uberverse. Okay, we're talking about the
Uber.
same thing, which, but we see that it is happening, that the sexual energy, the most creative force known in existence, is being distorted. But I want to ask you, do you think that it is a conscious distortion from entities or a consciousness outside of this realm that is deliberately doing it, or is it just wantonly, chaotically happening? What is your thoughts on that?
I think if we talk from the story of the Garden of Eden, or we talk about paradise or origin of creation, I think it's a very conscious choice by entities, by other beings, and it has gone on through, in the depths, all the way what we call the galactic federations or other planetary systems or other beings, that how do we get here, where are we going, who are we, all these original questions, that's how we've been able to almost like, we're the workers here, whether you're a worker bee or working for the highest, or working for the governing bodies, the power monglers, whatever. The deeper we go with inside the belly of the beast, we're going to be influenced by those. So that's a direct tie there, a direct plug-in. When we say looking into the matrix aspect of it, that's a conscious thing that's being moved by higher up people in power for a control based, and by entities that are thinking and feeling and utilizing the emotions of us, feeding off the emotions of the individuals through fear, anxiety, PTS, sexual abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, utilizing that to get their history, the story of mankind, to in a directive or a narrative where they wanted to go. But the mother herself has the original concepts. Everything is already there. Everything comes from mother. All these computers, all these crystals, all this information. So it's direct. I truly believe it's a directed and in misformed lower consciousness entities that are feeding off of. Now, they're feeding off of individuals and the sexual distortion, but and the emotional distortion and the unconscious mind and thoughts and projections that we have to take responsibility of woman and man, because we have participated in that. So through the plant medicines, we realize that the light shines, upon us. We awaken to it, and now we have the responsibility to take that first steps forward. That no longer will we be mandated or governed by those entities and energies that are actually also inside of us, each and every individual. And that's where this whole experience that I just went through, being incarcerated and arrested for these plant medicines and my religious belief, is I was faced that directly for 4 months straight, night and day, night and day, night and day. I had to deal with the inter shadows, inter darkness, external governing bodies, the powers to be, that they were trying to create a narrative for the story, his story, to repeat itself again, once again, that I was the man that they were looking for, and that story was true, which the story was that I was international psychedelic drug dealer.
Oh my
And
gosh.
Well,
so the truth, yeah,
and Adam, we won't get into too many specifics, but you've been through the gauntlet of this, and I've been through the gauntlet of this, and here more recently, Mona is going through it, and I've exposed her more to the Gnostic scriptures of the Nag Hammadi library, which are scrolls that are thousands of years old that reaffirm everything that you just said. But in Gnosticism, we call her Pistis Sophia, the feminine
okay,
divine that
yes,
became Mother Earth, and there, as a result of her fall, but fall's a bad word, you had these entities outside of the light spectrum that in Gnosticism we call them the archons, which
yes.
lack creativity. They have no creative ability, but they can manipulate that which is created. And how they interact or interface. And this isn't me talking. This isn't my space cult. This is actually, scriptures that are thousands of years old that say this. That read a book. What's the rest of the phrase? Read a book.
Yeah.
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 But in the Gnostic text, it talks about these entities, the archons, that literally their entire civilization is powered off of the negative energy of trauma by hooking into the lower chakras of human beings who have not raised their energy above. And if you don't like the word chakras, well, you can open Stedman's Medical Dictionary or Gray's Anatomy, and you can see ganglion nerves,
Meridians, chakras, whatever. Yeah.
whatever you want to call them. If you don't prefer the esoteric terms, these are scientific terms. But in the Nag Hammadi library, it does. It says that this is a very conscious, malevolent consciousness outside of our spectrum that induces these traumas from early childhood to drain.
Almost sounds like a narcissist to me.
We'll get to the narcissist, but it's like it's funny because you predominantly identify with Native American culture, which is on one side of the globe, with mouth to ear
Yes,
traditions that are saying these things, and I come from more of a Gnostic proclivity, which is the scriptures of the Jewish and early Essenes, and they all say the same exact thing. So it's like, are all of us spiritual people suffering from mass delusion? But but the interesting thing is for you and I, we've gone through the trial of fire of having to try to first defend what we're doing with the name calling and the mud and all of these kinds of things. And so Mona is getting a taste of that on, throughout, because it's like, there's a lot of, how it goes, Adam. First they call you crazy, then they say that you're in a cult, and then all of these hip things. And it's like, but as you and I
absolutely.
we were just discussing, it's like, I think that the reason people throw mud at people like us when we begin this process up is because we're exposing that secret that they think that only they know,
Correct. Correct.
which is
That's correct. Yeah, the secret that's never been told.
right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I had to get that off my chest. But if there's anything more you want to add to that, I mean, I do know that for me, if the plant-based medicine that you have been dubbed and the responsibility of being the voice of the medicine. If that medicine got me to have
Yes.
breakthroughs to start doing the work, I look at the pitchfork carriers who come at people like us as it's like you're so suppressed. You're telling
Yeah,
on yourself. You're really telling on yourself because
Yeah.
exactly.
it's the secret you don't want to get out, you know. But
Yes.
talk to that for a minute.
So the secret that probably doesn't want to get out, stems from the root cause of, sexual disorientation, influences by negative entities and energies that are known around the world, and usually only the medicine people or the leaders or those that were, high up or the archaeologists or the people that, work with the planets and the systems that usually governed, societies and generations after generations of people. That's it was only to them. It was only for them to know these deep, dark secrets. It was only for them to implement their empowerments and do that onto others and to keep that quiet. Um, and this influence, I believe, has been going on for, like I said, most likely when we're looking at external planetary systems, which we call the galactic federations, has been going on for a long time, long time, to create a field of mining and extracting from systems or beings or planets. So when we look at that, what's going on here, you see how the mining aspect, just to get these tools that we have at hand here, has to have some kind of system to, and the paying, the finances, the markets. Now you look at it in digital form, you have they call it mining of the Bitcoin, mining of these assets. It's another extracted force through technology. So where does that come from? How did that arrive here on this planet, this higher technology? This has been going on through the galactic systems and the planetary systems, which we've now entered into the orbit in this.
When you broke up a little bit, but continue with we've entered into the systems when you do come back at them, because that's going to be good.
Looking at
Hang on, Adam, because you broke up right when you said we were entering into the system.
Yeah, go back.
okay, you hear me now?
Yeah.
So we're entering into the system, into a
Those damn archons.
As soon as he's about to hit us with something.
Yep, every time.
oh, I'm
All
back.
right,
Am I
all
back?
right. Every time you're about to hit us with that, it starts to chop up. So we're entering back into the system. Continue.
Systems.
Okay, yeah, the reason for this is because this has been blocked. A lot of this has been blocked from, why are we going into other planets? You hear in the news, to Mars and to the moon, and we're looking out of Earth itself, or out of the planet. So our planetary system's moving through a galactic system now, and in a galactic alignment with the galactic grand central sun and other planetary systems, where we have explored and exploring new, just like Star Trek, like you have behind
Oh
you.
my
Star
gosh.
Trek. So we're
Don't mention
literally,
Star Trek.
yeah, so
No,
we're moving through that, where these technologies have been utilized for probably millions of years, hundreds of thousands of years here on our planet Gaia Earth. Now we're looking at the extraction and exploratory outside of the mother. So now we're going outside of the mother, outside of the wisdom and knowledge of woman and man, to explore the greater universe or universe, what's out there. Mars, Elon Musk, you can see he's exploring there, the moon and other systems, how to utilize and anchor and take, why are we doing that? So we're entering, and there's this federation, Galactic Federation, that's been overseeing this with other beings, which I truly believe are part of all of our relations. We call them in indigenous cultures, star nations that were part of the seeding of the human race here that have been going on for many life cycles and systems, Lemuria, Atlantis, and to the present day and time where we're sitting here today. So it leads back to that. Now, we've gotten, now, if you see the world economics today, you see how money is losing its value and the land value and the control, the system, they're working towards complete control of the mother or the women in the narrative, and to hold that in the way that they would like to see the dream or the vision. You can see it in the movies. I haven't been to a movie theater in years, most likely, but I know the script, a lot of what I've explored in the script and the play. And so we've got that happening, and that's why we're like part of an experiment, but also, keeping us nullified. So, because as you exploratory, what the hidden secrets and the jewels are the plant medicines in our emotions, our frequencies and vibrations, and what we came here to be. If that's to be exposed, you light up and you're connected to your divine origin. And that's what you have astrology. You're getting samples of being able to read your star charts, who works with who's compatible. This is just the brink of that. And when we align those, it reawakens these DNA, these structures, and especially through sacred union or intimacy, we're awakening those. And those of us that are doing that, what are we concerned about? Food, commerce, shelter, and that's being extracted from us, right? We see it. What happened, 19 without the first word, because people say, don't say the first one, but 19 happened and hit us 2000. What was it? 2020, 19 started entering in. So the disease,
The virus of the crown, right?
yeah, the virus of the crown comes in. So it's another thing they're saying DNA and extraction from the DNA to control us, because we were an awakening. We were coming in illuminated, what we originally intended to come here to be, the illuminated mothers and fathers of the earth, to restore the Garden of Eden, to restore the planet.
Now we got 5 minutes before the break, but I just want to preface something real quick. So, Native American culture has talked about the Star People for a very long time, as well as a lot of other cultures like Credo Mutwa talks
Oh, I
about the
love Credo
Chitauri,
Mutwa.
right?
Love him.
And I mean, even like when I talk to fundamentalist Christians here in the Bible Belt, Adam, I'm like, the entire Bible is a book about extraterrestrials. The main character,
Yes.
Yeshua the Christ, is an alien. Okay.
Yeah.
And so to those who haven't gone through the process of trying to wake up or clean themselves out, this is all just kooky. And it's like, wait a minute. When this whole crown virus thing started, the Pentagon has openly given us disclosure about UAPs. Now they want to call them UAPs because they've been trashing UFOs for the past 50, 60 years and calling anybody who's seen them kooky. But now it's come to a point to where these things are so prevalent and they are appearing and making contact that now even the Pentagon has come out
Yeah.
and officially said, we don't know what these things are and we are not alone and we don't know what to do about it. So it's like people can listen to us and go, these guys they're on a different planet. It's
Well,
like,
real quick, what did you tell me about is it the fifth branch of the military with the Star Trek symbol that they have
oh,
for,
Space Force. Now you have Space
yeah,
Force. Talk about Star Trek,
talking about
Adam,
Star Trek.
and
Yeah.
and life imitating art. Space Force. The logo is the Delta shield from Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah.
it's like,
So
yeah,
that's where we're entering. We are going to have and lack ofs and things of that. So there's a type of restructuring of the commerce that we see here, of communication, how we move now to different platforms in our communication, how people working from home rather than out in the field, or the farmers, and being able to provide for themselves. So there's this whole thing. Well, if you're not going to take responsibility, women and men of the world now, to cultivate your own food, cultivate your life, to to you know, bring about your own health and well-being, to take charge of your own empowerment, then we have a narrative that will help direct you. So that, you know, that's what's going on, basically, right? We all see it, we know it. We might not be clear what's going on. You've got the red or blue, you've got a choice to make. That's all external. It's all about the internal. So if we come from a place of what, again, you know, come looking at the Galactic Federation, looking at the planetary systems, looking at where we're at, Elon Musk and other organizations. I think you said what, SpaceX, and the movies that have been seeded from we were children. It's all off planet. So we had a planetary exchange going on for thousands of years here with our food, commerce, technology, wisdom, and knowledge. And now we're going off planet. It's already spoken about in the news, and you said the Pentagon and other agencies, Twitter, and everybody's speaking about Mars and all this. Now we're looking at more of a galactic, outer planetary, off-planetary systems in the exchanges happening here. So I truly believe there's going to be people like those of us that care for the Mother Earth, care for one another, and we want to safeguard and protect and live in harmony and return back to the commerce and trade of the plants, the animals, nature. Some may call it the Garden of Eden and things like that. And now there'll be an external exploratory cultures and societies that will begin to go outside of the planet to actually take all this from the games, from the movies, from everything of the program that is showed of the subconscious, grab the subconscious and that fear entity to go out into explore the universe. So now we're leaving the universe of the mother. Now we're going to go through the canal, and now we're going to start entering into different time space continuums and implement, I don't know to what level, and hopefully we don't fall short of that, some of the same extractions and buildings and creations in those levels. And we're going to see that happen in virtual reality, where the programmers are actually, we're going to do it from ground base zero, planet Earth, and then also on different systems. But it's still moving towards this extractive process and exchange happening on planet and off planet. So, and it's real. You're going to see more and more of that happening. We're going to see the interplanetary exchange taking place. Oh,
Hey, that's kind of a nice beat.
it's
You got a call?
yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
And that's a whole nother level of things, you know, but to stay grounded in this, I don't want to get too far out because that's a whole nother level, is in the organization, coming back to ground level, you know, because we could go into a whole dimension of that off-planetary system to bring us back in. We're still in the training courses and in the inner works, in the planetary works, to resolve the governing bodies that are in control now, and to take control of ourselves again, as women and men. Now, I would like to go hit a point too on when we talked about the corruptness, you know, the sexual orientations and the energies that have happened to us. There's actually something that's, I believe, is happening right now through religions. You know, it's all being exposed: sexual abuse, verbal abuse, video, television, music. So it's all being exposed. I've been in direct communication through the ceremonies and through individuals in these positions and high positions, in governing bodies and systems that are moving this type of energy, whether it's so I've been in contact with very high up authorities, and interesting enough, working with the authorities, the departments, the same departments that had created the problem for me and incarcerated me. I've been in direct meetings and ceremonies with these agencies.
Rap. So it's funny because what he's basically saying is the governing bodies who have been oppressing people like us for the longest time are now having to come to us for help.
For healing and help.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been working with them directly, and guess what they told me? Some of these, I'm talking about working on the levels of ceremonies, working in collaboration, government and people united for the benefit of humanity, men and women,
Awesome.
and feeding and commerce. But guess what they told me? And even the high peoples that have done this work in the abuse of the power of the sexual orientations through religions and these governing bodies and those in power, they said, now's your time as an individual. Even through the incarceration I went through, you're going to be incarcerated. So I went through my own teaching. You're going to be incarcerated in this cell, in this block, in this container that I co-created, obviously, for this time and space here and now, to now liberate and lift myself from my own incarcerated subconscious creation.
It's a good way to look at it.
They actually want us, we can rise together, whether we like it or not. The darkness and those in power, whether it's the plant medicines, whether it's your tradition, practice, meditation, your cultures, that we rise. So as the darkness elevates itself in power and controls, we liberate and inspire ourselves through, whether it's plant medicines, traditions, meditation, qigong. We inspire ourselves to rise once again and transmute and transform this history repeated over and over and over again, to return back to the womb, to the womon, to the infinite time and space. And so this is actually a gift, and they're an allowance. There is a global, planetary, and galactic agreement that it's now each individual's responsibility to take their place here and now with the mother herself, with these teachings that we each carry, to take that responsibility and to rise. And every musician, Bob Marley, on and on and on, the Beatles, they all shared that. They were leading the way in the passageway to this time and place right here and now. So the darkness actually wants us to lift itself, and it will in return help the negative and positive polars that have been rise together and help balance things out. We do have that choice to do that.
This goodness has been brought to you by ZenInTheCar.com, powered by CannaSense. CannaSense Total Wellness provides Americans in all 50 states with lawful, organic, lab-tested medical cannabis and therapeutic psilocybin to its members. Membership to join our collective is as simple as filling out a sponsorship form at CannaSense.com, uploading a photo ID showing 21 and up, and putting Zen in the Car as your sponsor. Once your sponsorship form is approved, members will have instant access to our apothecary to view and order from our menu filled with flower, edibles, vapes, topicals, supplements, and a myriad of other intake methods best suited to your needs on the path of recovery and wellness. The mission of CannaSense Total Wellness is to assist all Americans in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness through our God-given right to plant-based medicine. They provide discreet shipping nationwide, typically within 3 business days on most orders. Links to their sponsorship form are in the Christ boxes on whichever platform you found us. Or just make it easier on yourself and scan the QR code thingy on your screen now. Obtaining your clean, lab-tested medicine doesn't have to be complicated because CannaSense is common sense. Join Team Zen in the Car on the journey throughout the Uberverse with the right vibe. And don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe it to all our super neato internet doohickeys. Zen in the Car. It good for you.